Hi, welcome to Grit Gym. I'm Adam Reese. This is Dan Brown. If you happen to recognize him, it's because his celebrity prowess is probably still rocking through the town from his big wooden radio days.
Long
ago. I believe it's the bass guitarist, right? That everybody is drawn to on stage. Isn't that right?
No. I played in bands for 35 years and I never got a date playing the bass. That's honest to God truth. You don't like bass players.
Write down below in the comment section if you believe that or not.
It's true. It's the God's honest truth.
With those feathery locks that he's got on top.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Don't believe it, but now this is Dan Brown. Dan's worked out here at Grit Gym for a little while. He's really fun to have in here, and it's a wealth of knowledge, a very interesting guy to talk to. So I wanted to sit down and have a conversation around this because when Dan actually first started, one of the things that has always been on my mind was he had relayed the information to me that how he would get into his car is his back was such a mess that he would kind of back up and then just kind of fall and hope that his butt would hit the seat, right? Something like that? Is that about right?
That was it.
And so from my perspective, is like, well, I mean, coming into a place like this, potentially we could make, like a place like this could make you worse rather than make you better. It's way easier to make something worse than it is to make something better. So one of the big questions I had was just how do you get over that? Because I think a lot of people are out there dealing with this same thing. It's like, how do you get over that fear of, I might get hurt if I start this, or if I go there, I'm going to be working out with a bunch of 20-year-old fire breathers that they're basically physically invincible, you know? So how did you reconcile that?
Well, see, the second part of your statement is what was more concerning to me than getting hurt. I think I'd gotten to a place in life where there was just enough stuff that it wasn't right, you know, and I knew it wasn't right. My stability was not what it was before. My mobility certainly wasn't.
You mean like you just felt stiff and you weren't very balanced, like
Absolutely.
that kind of thing?
That whole deal. And so, like when it came to the car, and I mean, granted, I drive a little German car, and so it sits way low, but
I wonder what image of the car that everybody has in. I'm picturing like this little box. I mean, I know what you drive, but
it's a sedan, but it's low to the ground. And boy, I thought when I purchased it, I thought, gee, that's gonna be it. And you know, I was getting to a place where I thought, I want to trade this in and get something that's up higher. So I'd rather climb in and drop in because you know you got a gear shift there, you can hurt yourself. But and so I figured I really needed to do something. And I'd gone to several gyms in town over the course of 25 years, and I'd gotten to a place where my concern was that I would get to a gym that didn't understand where I was in life. And
you mean they just start you out with everybody else and just call it good?
Yeah. And I mean, the last couple of places I've been, you know, it was, there's some of that go there to be seen sort of thing, and then there's some of that go there and just kind of muck around on Nautilus machines and treadmills and hope
like
you're doing something.
Say that you went to the gym sort of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Yeah. That's the whole deal. And I thought, no, this requires something more specific.
Sure.
Clearly. And actually from the first assessment, I was pretty sure that, okay, well, these people they were more concerned about the whole person here.
It's a little different than, we're definitely not going to start anybody out just willy-nilly. Well, that's how you get people hurt.
Well, yeah, exactly. And and yes, there was a concern about getting hurt, partly because I thought, you know, I'm going to get thrown in with a whole bunch of young people who are really, really physically active and really, really,
they don't suffer any consequences for,
no.
Not like you would anyway.
Yeah, and I would participate.
There's a difference between being 22 and 42. And,
exactly.
You're 42, right?
Yeah. And but real seriously, you know, the notion of coming into something where you're going to be dealing with people who are in a whole different phase of life and do things at a different sort of pace and with a different level of stability and strength and that kind of stuff. Yeah. For me, it wasn't an admission of, I don't know, age.
Or like I'm too old for that crap. Like,
Yeah,
that kind of
no.
thing. Yeah, no.
It was like, no.
You can still go hard.
Well,
like,
that's right.
I mean, Claude's like 92 years old and he still pushes the sled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love Claude. I mean, he's a great guy. But it's clear that for somebody with my specific sorts of needs, somebody that paid attention to the fact that I was having trouble with my back.
Yeah.
My knees hurt, shoulders. I still have issues with my shoulders. But what I found with grit is that's always taken into account in my training program.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's, my trainer asks me, how are your shoulders?
That can change on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, it does.
Like if I seem like I'm like a little stiff today, it's because I slept a little funky last night. Like I'm not going to be able to just come in and grip and rip like I normally would because my neck is like.
Exactly.
It happens.
Exactly.
Things change from day to day.
And I mean, I guess that's what I really like is that it's pretty clear when I come in here that the trainer notices what's going on with me and asks questions, gathers information so that she can make appropriate decisions about how far to push parts of my body. And sometimes, we work some stuff really flipping hard. And I go home and I'm really sore.
Sure.
And there are some times when it gets moved and exercises change because on that day I'm having issues with my shoulders.
Exactly.
I have, some rotator cuff issues. But like you said, it's just some days and some movements, there are pull movements that are no problem for me. There's push movements that are a problem.
Right. Yeah.
And the people here understand that.
Yeah,
so
that's the idea.
for me, at my age, it's a good thing. And it's always been a matter of encouragement. And I mean, that's always gone along with it. It's never a matter of competition in.
You mean with other people?
Yes,
Yeah.
in the room. Because
That's always an odd dynamic to have because you might be on two completely different programs. Like for instance, if you are coming off of 3 nights of not very good sleep and you just kind of fell off the wagon eating wise, and there's somebody else right beside you that's 15 years younger on 2 weeks of good rest and good nutrition, and they're killing it, and you're trying to keep up with them. Yeah.
No, it doesn't work.
Probably not the best idea that you ever had,
No, and there's clearly no shame in that. I mean, there are people here that are my age, and honestly, I'm almost 65. So, but there are people that are my age that are strong as all get out. I mean, really strong.
Yeah, don't try to compare yourself to Janet's workouts.
No, I don't. Janet is one who is incredibly strong. Yeah. But there are people in their 30s who are incredibly strong, and people in their 40s and 50s. There are people who are dealing with issues that come along with age. There are people that are dealing with joint issues or even weight issues or things like that. And the gym is really designed to help them specifically given their makeup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's essentially what we try to do is make everything specific to each individual.
Yeah.
And then the trick has been, how do you create a community of individuals? Yeah, everybody's doing their own workout with a coach. How do you create that sort of supportive atmosphere where everybody's feeding off of each other?
Well, but I think part of that it's I don't know. I was raised by parents that expected you to introduce yourself to other people when you met them, and they introduced themselves to you.
That's some truth.
At Grit, a new person comes in, they're introduced all around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. You meet everybody in the gym, and
that's actually a really big deal for me.
It is for me.
I'm so socially awkward sometimes that it's like, it would just be really nice if someone just kind of had a helping hand and, hey, this is so-and-so.
Right.
And so that just seems like such an easy thing for me to do, or the coaches out here to do, to help somebody overcome that first little breaking of the ice. It's just a very nice thing to
It is.
To
it's
have.
a great thing because no one wants to be come into a place where it looks like it's a private club and they're the newbie, they're the stranger.
Right.
And
this is a clique, you're not in it.
Exactly.
Don't want that.
What do I have to do to become accepted, sort of thing.
You got to go through the hazing.
Yeah, I think just the introduction is enough. And I'm a very social person, and I've lived here all my life, so and I like to think there's like this. The big joke around here is that I know everybody that comes in. I mean,
But you do.
Well, I know a lot of people, but
Let's say 90%.
There are degrees of separation.
Yeah.
You know, but one way or another, I can usually find some sort of connection with them, and that's fun for me.
Yeah.
I mean, that socialization is really great, and some of them are young people. They are the kids of people that are my age. There are some, one of my physicians works out here, and a really great guy that I've always loved. And
that one's weird for me.
What? Having physicians?
Right.
Like
well, because, I mean, the one that you're talking about, he took my tonsils and adenoids out. He put the tubes in my ears. He fixed my nose when it was broken. He did all the stitches above all the, from all, like, I mean, I've known him since I was like 2 years old, and now he's, and when he first started working out here, he's like, just call me by my first name, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do that.
No, he's always Dr. Viner.
Yeah.
But now he's Fritz.
Yeah.
And he's just a great guy, and to get a chance to see him that frequently is really wonderful. And
in a different capacity.
Exactly.
It's so cool the relationship that you build working out with somebody else it's on a different level. I don't know, it's very interesting.
No, it is. And I've met people, like one of the guys that I work out with regularly, he comes in when I do. We're both into music, and he's also he's
in two different capacities.
Well, yeah, but we both play bass, but he makes them.
Right.
I mean,
It's so
he
cool.
makes like classical basses,
right.
but we go back and forth and we talk during our workouts, or maybe even a little too much. Troy would say maybe a little too much, but it makes the time go by, and I've just developed this really wonderful friendship with this person that, when you're retired, or when you're like, Chris is, and he's working at home all the time, where do you go to make those sorts of friendships?
That's a really good point, because a lot of people are just, I hear that all the time taking calls out here, is just the number of people that are working from home now.
Yeah.
And they have zero social outlet, and it's almost like they're going crazy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like there are places you can go
that
aren't the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Like maybe the bar isn't like the worst, like I'm not judging you going to a bar, but
no,
there are other places,
No, I mean, I hear you, but the other thing is, I think, if you really want to meet a broad spectrum of people, you can go to classes, and the classes happen at 6 in the morning, and then 5:30 at night, and then 7:30 at night, and you really get a cross-cut of people there. And I met a ton of people that I really, really came to like. I mean, some that are like in their 20s, and some that are friends of my daughters who are in their teens and 20s, and with people that are my age, all working out, doing the same sort of workouts, but recognizing that everybody is working at different abilities. We all do the workout, just maybe at different speeds, but you certainly can get a chance to be with a group of people if you really want it. But me, I've gotten to a place where I come in twice a week, and then
just as girls the whole time.
I come in twice a week. I know I'll be doing my weight workout, and then I ride my bike. In the summer, I ride my bike at least 4 other days a week, and now I ride the scooter at home. I've considered coming in 3 times a week, and I may end up doing that. It's just a good thing to, I don't know, I think at our age, cardiac is important, but strength training is really a big thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, most problems are this sounds so hyperbolic, but most problems are going to be solved by just getting a little bit stronger.
Right.
A lot of your joint issues, just getting generally stronger. And I say that a little bit to, I'm not saying like, if you just go and do a bunch of squats, you're going to get better.
Right.
There's still some things to take into consideration there. But if we're looking at cardio versus strength, which one do you start with? And I take a lot of heat for this, but like, when you do strength training, you're still putting stress in your heart. Like, you should start with strength and then add in the others. Like, I'm not saying that cardio isn't important. It is.
Right.
But you need that full spectrum.
Right. And I have found that over the course of time, and I guess I've been here almost 3 years or something like that, 2.5, 3 years, something like
That's
that.
quite about right.
But yeah, my stability, and it's not like I was weaving around and falling when I went down steps or anything like that. But it's just, I mean, you can in yourself, in your core, you can feel an amount of stability. Like getting out of bed. I mean, do you have to roll out of bed, or can you just whip up and walk out in the kitchen? Well, it's so much more comfortable. The whole deal with the car's not an issue anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I open the door, I put my leg in, I sit down in my seat. When I get out, I get out. You know, that it's not an issue. It was an issue 2.5 years ago.
Sure.
There was too much. I had too much weight. I mean, and then there were nutritional issues.
That is the thing too. We haven't even touched on that. It's just getting your food in order and cutting down on some of the certain types of tissues that are not benefiting you in any way.
Right.
I'm not saying that you have to have an 8-pack, but most people are going to feel a little bit better if they lose a couple.
Well, yeah, and I did well. When I came in, I was what they call pre-diabetic, which, you know, what is pre-diabetic? If you're pre-diabetic, then it means you aren't diabetic. That would be my way of looking at things. But nonetheless,
it's an interesting term that is. You really didn't hear it until like 10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And even then, like maybe not even 10 years ago. It's relatively new.
Exactly. But you know, my mom had type 2 diabetes, and I watched her poke her finger several times a day and slip away to the bedroom to give herself insulin shots, and I just said, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. And so,
and it's preventable.
It is, and that's what I have found, because over the course of these years, I go back for my annual physical, and you know, my doctor was ready to put me on, start checking your blood sugar every day, and then keep a record and send me the notes. And she said, your A1C is really good. It's better than since I started seeing you, and
that's fantastic.
You really don't have to. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. I said, I don't want it. Let me know if I have to.
That's an easy decision.
But yeah, I don't want it. And I think a lot of it came from just that notion of changing my diet and being, well, I mean, exercise has taken on a different sort of meaning for me at my age. You know, when I was young, I was an athlete, and but it was play.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You play softball, you play football, you play baseball.
Active.
Exactly. You're active as hell. And then you get to a point where you're a professional for a long time, and you end up in office jobs or something like that. You're just not moving.
Right.
And
you're just stuck in a chair for 8 hours, 10 hours a day. Yeah.
And it creeps up on you. Then all of a sudden you start thinking of exercises. Oh, geez, it's something that I have to do.
Yeah.
And now it's a different thing. It's built into my routine. I finally realized for me it's a matter of showing up.
Yeah.
And just like it's got to be a place where I want to show up.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Gyms where I didn't.
Well, it sounds like you had like a positive feedback loop going.
Yeah,
where, like
absolutely.
most people, it seems like they really don't have a big enough hammer pushing them into the gym. You know, it's almost like this big scary monster's got to be pushing them in.
Yeah.
But it could just be that it's enjoyable enough to just pull you in. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, actually, I did have he was a very small, scary monster who suggested that it was time for me to start looking at this sort of thing and start living life, because if you aren't living, you're dying. That's just the way that it goes. And it really kind of stuck with me, so I thought, all right, I'm giving this the full-on thing. I'm really going to give it a shot.
Well, there is something to the whole creativity follows commitment. You know, like if you finally just commit to the thing, you don't give yourself the option of bowing out.
Right.
Good things do kind of tend to happen.
Well, I mean, great results in time.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. It didn't happen overnight. But I never went home feeling miserable. I mean, I never went home just feeling like totally gassed.
Yeah.
It was harder at first. Yeah. Sure. Now it's still hard. I mean, I'm not going to get anywhere.
Well, you got to level up.
Well, that's the whole deal. But each time it's a little bit harder. I don't know. I feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
I just figure like you get to a place where it's like you can. Well, I don't know, you can try or you can not try, or you can give up, give in, whatever.
Those are the two big areas I see. Is either people do nothing,
right,
or they're doing so much that it's of detriment, and it's like
right.
fine, like unnecessary. Like you don't need to take 60 milligrams of something if 20 milligrams is going to get it done.
Right, exactly.
You can take that 20 milligrams. This is not an exact. It
Yeah.
doesn't really work out this way, but for the sake of the example, if 20 milligrams pushes you the needle as far as you're going to go, that extra 40 milligrams didn't do anything for you.
Right.
Could be just poisoning you. So
Exactly.
Let's stick with the 20.
Exactly. And so I just find that, for me, it's a matter of, this is an investment that and trust me, if you want to go cheap on something, and I can be cheap, trust me on this, I can be cheap. I started thinking about the whole thing. Okay, the investment that I make monthly in grid versus the investment that I might make not spending the money on grid and not exercising, or exercising and not really getting done what it was that I had intended to get done. And I think the financial investment, that's the way to go, because that's really an overall life investment.
And you're going to pay for it one way or the other.
Well, and
like somehow, we all pay a tuition in life.
Well, that's true. And to me, it's like, when you're young and you run around, you're doing all this other kind of stuff. Okay, your body's doing a pretty good job taking care of itself, but you don't try to self-diagnose and self-medicate. I mean, you don't. That's why there are professionals who do that.
Yeah.
You don't try and fix your car unless you have a particularly...
unless you have the skills, and then maybe you do.
Then knock yourself out.
But even then, you probably don't have the skills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So...
like we said at the beginning, it's a lot easier to make things worse than it is to make them better.
Well, that's what...
It's so much easier.
It is. But part of it, to me, is just like thinking purposefully and strategically about what would make my life better, not just in terms of longevity, but just quality of life as I get up from day to day and live my life. And this has just, honestly, it's just improved my quality of life.
Yeah, well, that's the idea.
Yeah,
it's like, how much more can you put into the life that you do live, not necessarily.
Right.
Whatever people's reason is for starting their workout, I don't really care.
Right.
Like, you want to have the 8-pack, you want your tricep to show through and not flap around, you want to lose 30 pounds, whatever your thing is, but ultimately I think everybody's going for that. Like, if you ask yourself enough questions, everybody's going for that. I want to have a better life.
Right.
I want to have a better experience.
Right. And for some people it is an aesthetic experience. They want to look, that's great. Knock yourself out.
Whatever
for
gets you
some
going.
people it's an absolute compulsion. I mean, my wife's an athlete, always has been an athlete, and she works out every single day, and she works out really, really hard. That's her thing. That's like, for her, that's like me playing music.
Yeah.
And I play music every day. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But it's like, what sort of investment are you going to make in that part of you? Because it's a physical part of you that you got to get up and live with every single day.
This is true. This is true.
So
you're not going very far if you don't. Yeah.
I know. And I guess, the biggest thing for me and grit is that I came in as I don't even want to say I'm an older person. I don't think of myself.
It's so weird. Like when people talk about themselves, not to sound cliche and be like, age is just a number, but you're like, you gotta be pretty advanced to be old.
Well,
like 65 is not old.
No.
I mean, you're not exactly just teeing off, but
No.
you're not old.
No, but it's different
Yeah.
than being 35.
Totally.
It's different, and I guess I had a real concern that I would come in here and this wouldn't work for me because I was too old for it to work for me, or because nobody would really care about how I was different than maybe somebody else that was working out at the same time as me. And that I found to be utterly untrue, because I work out with lots of people my age. I have people who are older than me, a lot older than me, and man, they're getting benefit out of the whole thing. and a lot of people who are younger too. So I mean, I think it's kind of it's an equal opportunity sort of joint, I think. But especially for somebody, I mean, I only speak as a person who is my age to other people who are also my age. This is the only place I've ever been where things have really felt right and worked for me.
Thanks, man.
You betcha.
I mean, that's that's the idea. It's like if you, from my perspective, if you cater the workout to the individual based on the assessment, things typically go better, and then they don't feel like crap, and then they're more likely to want to work out and do something good for themselves.
Honestly,
this seems like a win-win scenario.
It is. Yeah. I think so.
Well, I mean, we can close this out. Is there if someone was on the fence about starting their workout plan, what would you say to inspire them to take the next step?
Well, if we know each other, you know, write me on Facebook or Instagram or something like that. Well, I don't know everybody, but I do know people. Or if you have my phone number or whatever, text me or give me a call or whatever. I'm happy to talk to anybody about this. I'm not into promoting things that I don't actually, believe in, and I honestly do believe in. And I'm not dissing on any other gym. Other gyms work wonderfully for other people who have different sorts of circumstances. Great, good for them. I'm just saying that if you're wondering and if you're not happy where you are, or if you're not happy where you are in life and want to try something like this, I think this is a safe place to give it a shot. And I think you'll be I think you'll be happy. If you're not, you can call me names.
Yeah.
God knows. I mean, I worked at a newspaper for 20 years. I've been called names. So
too true. Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what we try to be is help instill curiosity in what people think they might be able to accomplish. And there's a lot of life to live. So
amen.
We just want to help.
Well, thanks,
Anyway,
man.
Thank you.
It's been great.
All right.
See ya.
I'll set this up.